Today we're talking about front of center, or what's commonly referred to as FOC. Now when we talk about front of center, the reason that it's called that is expressed as a percentage of your overall arrow length that reflects the balancing point of your arrow and how far in front of the physical center of your arrow that it balances. And I know that can be kind of confusing, but think about it this way. The more weight you add to the front of your arrow, the farther in front of the center point the balancing point is going to be. Thus, the higher percentage of FOC you are going to have. Now, most bow hunters out there, when they look at FOC, they want to see values that are anywhere over 5 or 8%. That's typically what people are looking for in the bow hunting world. There is a big movement right now in heavier arrows and a lot more FOC. We're talking numbers, 10, 15, 17, 18% FOC. And the reason for that is people say that arrows will fly better and penetrate better with broadheads if you have more weight on the front, which is a byproduct ultimately of just having a heavier arrow. By adding more weight to the front of your arrow and increasing your FOC, you are inherently increasing the overall weight of the arrow, which is going to increase kinetic energy and momentum, which are both factors in penetration. So when we look at FOC, that's what we're talking about. The percentage of the arrow length that we are balancing in front of the physical center point of the arrow. That's what that means. So when you're calculating your FOC, there's two things that you're going to be needing, two measurements. First is going to be the overall length of your arrow. Now that is measured from the throat of the nock, which is where the string seats into your nock, to the back of your point. Don't include the length of your point in that measurement. So when I measured this arrow here from the back of my point to the throat of my nock, it's 28.75 inches. So that's the first measurement that I'm going to need. The second measurement is going to be that balance point. Where does this arrow balance? And a lot of people, when you look at diagrams online, you're going to see people using small blocks of wood, something like this, and they're moving it back and forth to find the balance point. That's going to give you a very, very precise measurement. But when it comes to calculating FOC, we're looking for round numbers. You don't have to be exact to the 16th of an inch. So for me personally, I usually just use my finger. So I'm going to use my finger. I'm going to find the balance point, which I already have marked of this arrow. So it's going to be right there. I'm going to use a paint marker or a chalk marker, something like that, to mark my arrow so I know exactly where that balance point is. Then I'm going to go ahead and use the tape measure to measure the distance, again, from the throat of the nock right here to that balance point. So on this particular arrow, it's 18.5 inches. Now when we look at the overall arrow length, we know that this arrow is 28.75 inches. So the balance point's at about 14 3/8 inches is the balance point. Let's say it's right, or I'm sorry, the physical center point of this arrow is right about there, but my balance point is in front of it. So this percentage right here is going to be my FOC, or my front of center. Now, the way to calculate this, there is a complex formula. If you want to sit down with a calculator and do it all on your own, you're most certainly welcome to do that. For me personally, I'll just go to bowhunting.com, search for the FOC calculator, put in my two measurements. It's going to tell me what my FOC is. So I've already got the FOC calculator pulled up. All I need to enter are my two lengths, 28.75 inches for my arrow length, 18.5 for my nock to my balance point, which results with an FOC of 14.3% for this particular arrow, which you can see is considerably higher than some of the numbers that are out there in that 5 to 8%. The reason for that is the particular arrows that I bow hunt with, I do have a lot of extra weight up front. I've got a specialized insert system on the front of this arrow that adds about 60 grains, I would say, over a standard insert that I would have in this arrow. So it's increasing my FOC and bringing my overall arrow weight up. This particular arrow here that I'm bow hunting with is right around 500 grains with a 14% FOC, which is plenty of weight and kinetic energy and FOC to go bow hunting for really any big game animal in North America, including whitetails, which is what I'm primarily hunting with this particular arrow setup. So when people talk about FOC, that's what they mean. That's how you calculate it. If you guys have any questions about FOC or how to increase your FOC or what the best FOC may be, feel free to leave your questions below. We'll do our best to respond to them, and thanks for watching.